All right, there was quite a lot over the weekend when it comes to the beautiful game, and we'll be taking a look at all of that. Of course, Mary and Edgar are also around here on standby to give me their thoughts. I'll get to them a little bit later. But let's start with the Premier League. And of course, we are on the Premier League website. And of course, the major story here, slot after Liverpool defeated that match. It was a very lucky one. It was a 2-1 win for them, and it was quite a very should I say in some ways lucky, as it were, but they were able to overcome West Ham, and it seemed as though that they might have needed to wait a little bit longer. But Virgil van Dijk, who just signed a new contract, by the way, who's going to be there for 2 more years, as well as Mohamed Salah, had something to say otherwise. Mohamed Salah, by the way, has scored, gave an assist. The assist to Luis Diaz made him the record goal and assist top leader in a 38th season match. But we'll get to see all of that. Now, Slot says, I don't care where this title is won, but we must stay focused. Now, let's take a look at the results that happened over the weekend when it comes to the EPL. It started, of course, on Saturday, and the big one had to be Manchester City 5, Crystal Palace 2. Now, that was quite the match. Brighton, of course, 2, Leicester 2, Nottingham Forest 0, Everton 1, Southampton 0, Aston Villa 3, Arsenal up against Brentford. Incidentally, both my, I don't know what I should call them analysts now, because they open your mouth and Arsenal. As an analyst, you're supposed to be you're supposed to be objective, but I doubt the objectivity of Edgar and Mary when it comes to anything that concerns Arsenal.
Well, it was disappointing. It was.
I wouldn't call it disappointing. So what Arteta decided to do was field in 5 different players from the Real Madrid game, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't expecting anything different, to be honest.
It feels like
she actually
so she's waiting for the second leg.
She actually did say a lot, because I rubbed it into her face as much as possible. But we'll get to all of that. Let's take a look at the other results. It was Chelsea, draw 2-2 against Ipswich. Liverpool 2-1 against West Ham. Wolves and Spurs 4-2. But the one that Edgar wants to talk about is Newcastle 4, Manchester United 1. You saw that highlight. And the question needs to be asked. Is Ruben Amorim still the right man for the job? Andre Onana, after his antics in midweek, of course, was dropped for this particular game, and but then it seemed more of the same. As much as saves were made, they conceded 4 goals. So, is it a situation where, can you say Andre Onana is a problem, or Ruben Amorim? Where do you think, Edgar? Now this is to you. Where do you think Manchester United have a problem at this particular point in time?
I would say that the solution to Manchester United's problem is not changing the coach. If you change Amorim or you share the money to different clubs, Arsenal take, or Newcastle take, or Chelsea take, that's the only solution to Man U's problem. There is nothing they can do. Change the name.
Where are you coming from?
I'm being honest.
This guy went from 0 to 100.
They need to sell the club.
No.
Share the club.
We going to bring Koboko for
this. Realistically,
there is nothing realistic about it.
There's nothing one can think of as being the fundamental problem. I remember Ronaldo was talking about the fact that there's a dressing room problem. Different coaches, different players talking about different things going wrong in a great club like Manchester United. However, if you even want to say that Amorim is the problem, what about the players? Because a coach can only coach.
He likes to play from the back. Onana has 2 left legs. So it means that he cannot even kick the ball to his other leg. All right, how bad that is.
You see what happens now? Edgar, bless, I will bring Koboko for you on this show, small. But with those results, with what had happened, let's take a look at the table when it comes to the Premier League.
He cannot kick the ball.
And this shows a lot. Now, incidentally, the EPL might just have 7 teams. Yes, you heard me right. 7 teams in the Champions League next season. There's a possibility. All right, now, after Aston Villa and Arsenal, most especially, defeated Real Madrid, officially, it's 5 teams in the Champions League. But, depending on other results, Manchester United are in the Europa League. And then if Manchester United finish outside the top 5, then no matter the 5 that go, they will still go. And then there's the FA Cup winner. Then there's Chelsea also. If Chelsea finish outside the top 5, You understand? But then you consider that they are in, okay, now that would be Europa League because they are in the Conference League. You understand? But then you could see that the EPL can produce at least like 6 teams in the Champions League. Now let's take a look at what the table will look like, or what the table looks like at this particular moment. Looking at how everything flows and all of that. Liverpool on top, of course, are on top. They do have 76 points. And it's basically title. It's basically title over. Arsenal's draw with Brentford, of course, gave them the chance that if Arsenal should lose the next match, Liverpool next week will be crowned champions. What do you think about that, Mary? And, of course, Edgar.
That's why I said it was quite disappointing. But then, of course, Liverpool will at least gain something this season, really. Because it does seem like it's been quite a wonky season for them. But whatever the case may be, though, I hope Arsenal keeps fighting till the end. They are good at fighting till the end.
I wouldn't say it has been an amazing season for Liverpool. I would just say that other teams have been terrible. And they've just been taking it up that way.
I agree. Considering the fact that some of the big guns did not really pull their weight this season, I totally agree with that, actually.
Yes. Yeah, you agree. What you are agreeing with, both of you, it does not matter. You should keep your argument yourself. It's a 38-match season. It's a marathon. I hate hearing that when people say because people play badly. So teams have injuries. It doesn't matter. They went on a marathon. They have won. Give them their flowers, or they will.
Nobody is taking their flowers from them. We're just pointing out the fact.
Not now. There's no fact. That's not a fact.
There is a fact.
That's not a fact. The fact is they are
many clubs
top.
Struggled this season.
Irrespective.
They were
there are other seasons when they've struggled. It's not a fact. The fact is that they are winning the title, and irrespective of what others have done. I mean, look at Manchester City. When this season started, after getting Savino in, they got back Ilkay Gundogan, and then with the plethora of stars that they have, 2 world-class in one position, I know people who gave them, very top pundits already gave them the title in April, like the season had not yet started. They're already giving them the title. And then it so happened that at this particular point, Liverpool with a blistering form, up until recently, that's talking about the Champions League where PSG took them down. Look at Mohamed Salah and all that he has done. So at this time, at this particular point, however the other teams performed, Liverpool, of course, had to carry it.
For Salah and
but then the major talk here has to be Newcastle, who still have 1 match in hand. If they do take that 1 match in hand, they'll go, well, they're already in the top 4 position. So there's a possibility, but because of their 5 now, Manchester City will definitely be in the Champions League. But if they don't, now that is where there is a problem. If they don't take that top 4, because Chelsea are just 1 point behind Manchester City, and of course there's Aston Villa, who are just down there behind, just quite very close. Very, very close. And Aston Villa, of course, will be up against PSG this midweek. They are going to play the Champions League as it happens. And so Aston Villa are quite very close. The same point with Chelsea. 1 point behind Manchester City. There's a possibility that Manchester City will not be in the Champions League. How do you think about that, Mary? A Champions League season without Manchester City?
It's the same as what I said earlier. This season hasn't been so good for many teams. A lot of challenges, and it seems like they are struggling to overcome those challenges. No one is quite sure, and I'm looking forward to this year's documentary for Manchester City to know exactly what was happening behind the scenes, because of course you would see it like in 2-3 years time when they actually tell you what happened that season. I'm looking forward to it because it's rare to see someone, it's not as if Guardiola left, he's still there. So it's I don't know, it's mind-blowing what has happened to them this season.
All right, let's wrap up with this. I'll just take a look at the La Liga table. Barcelona, of course, are on top. They are going there for the title. They have 70 points, 4 above Real Madrid. Remember that, of course, just this weekend, Real Madrid defeated Alaves. It was a 1-0 win. Kylian Mbappe picked up a red card, but they were able to still go, even though Alaves picked up a red card a little bit later. But in spite of that red card, Jude Bellingham was on the bench, and of course Vinicius Junior started the match on the bench. Both of them are getting set for Arsenal. Well, it's going to be Wednesday at the Bernabeu. That's where it's going to happen. They will close the roof. We're looking forward to an interesting game. Do you think out there, just let us know on social media, do you think Real Madrid can overturn a 3-0 deficit? If there is one club that can do it, it has to be Madrid. They think that the Champions League is their heritage. They think that they can do all that it takes to win the Champions League. They've done it before. Barcelona have done it. Liverpool have done it. Barcelona against PSG, Liverpool against Barcelona, Liverpool against AC Milan. Comebacks are a regular thing in the Champions League. We'll be talking about all of that as it leads on up until Wednesday when Arsenal will take on Real Madrid in the Bernabeu. That's it on the beautiful game this Monday morning. We'll take a time out now. Stay with us. There's still quite a bit more to come on the show.